most people recently over the last month or so have said, I just literally just Googled women's gym or women's fitness in this area. And it's like, we're the only gig in town. So we come up first. It's awesome.
You said you created an intergenerational strength community. Tell us how you broke into that market and any considerations for training older clientele versus 30-year-old women. Hello and welcome to Gym World Worldwide. I am your host, John Franklin, covering for my friend, compatriot, and other host, Mateo Lopez, who is out enjoying life on Long Island, New York. Everyone's favorite place, which is funny because our guest today is also from New York, not Long Island. Apparently, there's another part of the state that is not the New York Metro, and maybe we will get into that. But it is someone who is a close personal friend of mine and someone whose appearance on this podcast is long overdue because of her expertise at her craft, also her niche, which is very interesting. And we're going to get all into that. But let me welcome to the show, Nora Matthew of Her Strength Studio. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So tell the people about your gym. Who do you serve, and what type of training do you do?
Yeah, so we do strength training. We are affiliated with Strong First, so we focus a lot on the kettlebell, barbell stuff, but we serve females only. We are a women's only gym. And we have women as young as in their early 20s to women in their late 70s. So that's our demographic. It's pretty wide, but it's just like it's an awesome vibe.
But you got your start training like pregnant women specifically, right? Like that was kind of your initial program.
Yeah. So actually, when I was pregnant with my first, this is 13 years ago, I wanted to keep lifting and I didn't really know like what I could and couldn't do when I was pregnant. And there was not a whole lot of concrete information. There was a lot of conjecture and like, oh, well, this person says this and whatever, but there was nothing really objective on like what was good and what wasn't good. And so it caused me to kind of like go down the rabbit hole of like what is really effective and what's safe for pregnancy, and then naturally into what is safe postpartum, and how do you kind of regain your strength after going through pregnancy and birth and all that kind of stuff. So that was my initial interest in really serving women specifically, because I had kind of been a coach for everyone prior to that.
And so you opened like a little more than 7 years ago now, right?
Yep.
So it used to be like, was it a standalone program where you like, was the gym only for pre and postpartum women, or were you training women in general and then you had like a separate pregnancy specific program?
Actually, I strongly considered when I was opening my first like brick and mortar space, making it just for moms, pre postnatal, but I decided that was too narrow of a population. And I was like, okay, I think we can, and there's so many similarities even outside of pregnancy and postpartum as far as training women specifically and like what they need. So when I opened my gym, I decided that it was going to be for all women, but we did have our pregnancy and postpartum specific programs. At that time, they were separate, and we continued on with that. And they were really busy. These were all, pre-COVID days.
And we mentioned you're in New York. Where specifically in New York are you?
We're in suburbia of Albany. So, Albany's the capital, as no one knows that. But we are just outside Albany in a little area called Latham.
And are you the only women's only gym in the area, or do you have competitors?
There is another women's only gym, but it's a boxing gym. So competitors maybe, but not really. I think when you look at it that way, but yeah, we're like kind of the only women's only gym in this area.
And we talked about your training being Strong First, but what's the actual training format? Is it large group, small group, personal training?
Small group. We do small group personal training. We cap at 8. That's like the majority of what's on our schedule from, 5 a.m. until 7 p.m. pretty much every day.
Okay. And you're in how big a space?
We have 4,000 square feet.
Okay. And so you'll run one session at a time, or are you like someone like a James Pratt where you have like 20 of them going at the same time?
Um, yeah, so we have pretty much one session going on at a time. We do have a couple like peak times in the early morning where we have overlapping sessions, but it'll basically be like one coach to 8 members, and we kind of share the space for 30 minutes in the overlap.
Cool. And let's talk about how you price that.
Yeah. This is something that has been very challenging for me. I've always been very uncomfortable with money and like the talks around money. It always makes me very like, I don't know why. It's just always something it's a sticking point for me. I joined Unicorn Society a few years ago and had to really come to terms with it. So greatly appreciated that. And so we are priced from 132 to 168 biweekly, depending on like the length of contract.
132 to 168 bi-weekly, so you're like 280 to 320 a month. Does that sound right?
Yep.
That's like a 2 versus 3 session,
Yeah.
or is one? Okay.
Yeah, so the 132 is 2 sessions for a year, and then the 168 is 3 sessions for 3 months.
Okay, awesome. And so how big's the gym? How many women are you training?
We have 165 members.
And is that like where you want to be? Is that kind of like capped out, or are you still looking to grow the actual like member base? Because I know a lot of these small group training gyms shoot for about like that 120 mark is kind of the sweet spot.
Yeah. So the way that we run things, I find we're getting close to our limit on certain times, like our peak times. We're getting close, but we watch the schedule and we add times where needed. So we could probably add at least another 25 members before I think we're completely full.
Okay. And let's talk about how you're getting them, because 160 small group training, smaller town, very niche down, like sounds pretty, those are impressive numbers. So how are we getting people in the door?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's so in our first space, we were a little bit off the beaten path, and that was challenging to like not really, there wasn't a whole lot of foot traffic where we were. We weren't that visible. That was a lot of word of mouth. So the first 5 years was a lot of just like women telling their friends and their family and all that. And then the last 2 years, we doubled our clientele in that time because we moved to a much more central location. It's pretty much on the main road through the town that we're in, and we have a huge sign out front, and so we have a lot of visibility. So that seems to be where we're getting, and our SEO is awesome. Most people recently over the last month or so have said, I just literally just Googled women's gym or women's fitness in this area, and it's like we're the only gig in town, so we come up first. It's awesome.
Yeah, I see it looks like you're in like a little downtown looking area here based
Yeah,
off of the
kind of.
photos I can
Yeah.
see. You have somebody on top of you. Do you run into noise problems?
No, not at all. The town is pretty quiet. It's pretty upscale, but it's funny, like behind us, we have condos and apartments, and they're really nice. They're new. It tends to be like it's like more of a residential vibe, but like next door to us on one side is a crepe restaurant, and then the other side of us is a med spa. So we have never had any sort of noise issues at all.
Well, I guess you're strong first, so most of it like is kettlebell, right? Versus you're not like dropping weights on the ground or anything like that at
No, not no.
all hours
People
of
are
the
not
day.
supposed to be dropping weights now.
I was in a similar kind of building and we did not do well from a noise standpoint, but that's okay. All right. And then the one thing I thought was pretty interesting when we were kind of talking through the business, you said you created an intergenerational strength community. There is a lot of talk in fitness and a lot of people interested in training older clients. Tell us how you broke into that market and any considerations for training older clientele versus say your bread and butter 30-year-old woman.
Yeah, so when we first opened, we had probably a handful of members who were in kind of that, like, we'll say 55 plus age range, compared to probably like, 80% of our members who are like 30s, 40s. Two of those members are my mom and my aunt, and they're still members. It's kind of interesting the way that it happened because post COVID world, we had switched from like more of a large group setting to more of a small group, and we started doing more personalized programming. So it was less like you show up, you do whatever's on the board, and more like, okay, we're going to individualize this. When we started doing that, it became a little bit more accessible to women who had like injuries or pre-existing conditions, to work with them rather than trying to like modify if they had an injury. So post COVID, I had someone reach out to me who had just gotten certified as a trainer. She was at that time in her late 50s, and she was like, "Hey, I got the certification during COVID, and I did it because I really wanted to like make myself feel confident and strong without getting injured. But I've never worked with any actual people. So can I come and shadow you at your gym?" And I was like, absolutely, come on in. So fast forward like 6 months later, I was like, okay, I think you're ready to, I think you're ready to do this by yourself. I think that you can definitely coach. And what do you want to do? She started a program that was called Return to Movement, and it was aimed toward women who had either been sedentary for a long period of time, which was basically a huge part of the population post COVID, or people who had come back from an injury and were nervous about getting back into exercise. So we ran this program. We actually ran it for free for a little while. And then we started charging sort of a more nominal fee. And she ran it at an off peak time in the gym, so it didn't interrupt any of our normal programming. And it grew in this crazy exponential way. And we were like, do we need this program, or can we just integrate these members into our normal small group training program? And so that's what we ended up doing. That population, I have found, they all talk to each other, just like talk, and they all recommend to each other, and it's not like gatekeeping at all. They're like, hey, I go to this gym and I love it so much and I feel strong and I'm not getting injured there. And so it kind of snowballed into getting a huge part of this population. And so a couple of months ago, we were getting consistent emails from people who were saying, hey, I've heard that your gym is great, but I go on your website and I everyone on there is young. Do you train older women? And I was like, oh my gosh, we need a website redesign. We need to like people to like see themselves, because a huge part of our clientele now is over 55, and that's who we need to be showing, because people need to see themselves. So fast forward to now, and that's like, it's a huge part of our membership, is women 55 to 75.
And it looks like a beautiful Kilo website.
It is.
Wow. That is awesome. And so how much of it is finding that like one person to seed um the like initial clientele? Like it sounded like that was like your big break. If you were advising someone else who wanted to break into that community, is that what you would tell them to do?
I think it was putting feelers out to figure out like what people really wanted, because I think prior to that I was like, well, you have to, be willing to like lift heavy weights and pick up kettlebells and swing kettlebells. And a lot of women were like, I just don't know if I can do that. Like, I don't even know how to bend over with a neutral spine position, and pick something like a box up off the floor without hurting myself. Like, how can I swing a kettlebell? I'm going to hurt myself. So there was always that like, and I was like trying to put people into my mold. Whereas I think what really I should have been doing was asking them what they needed and what they were looking for. And so we've kind of ended up on the other side of that, where I meet with women and they say, I just really want to age well. My mom had osteoporosis and I have osteopenia, and I don't want to break a hip at 65. I want to feel like I can lift my suitcase into the overhead bin, the overhead hold. And like, I want to be able to do those things independently. I want to be able to lift my grandchildren. I want to be able to do all these things without being in pain all the time. And so it was like the more questions we asked, the more people just started flooding through the door because they knew that we were trying to really cater to them and what they needed as opposed to putting them into a box that we had created.
And let's talk about message and marketing that you're putting out into the world. So you're personally, I can't follow, I can't keep up because you have like a personal Instagram, you have a coach Instagram, and then you have a gym Instagram too.
Yep.
But let's talk about the gym.
Yep.
What is the social strategy? Because it looks like you're the face of a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you think about making content for social media?
Yeah, this is something that's shifted a lot in the last several months as well. We worked with a marketing company from 2019 to like the beginning of this year. And they just did incredible things for us and helped us so much to, kind of sculpt our social strategy. But what I was finding was like, it was almost too curated. It was like people were seeing like just the coaches and just our like, super fit looking clients and they weren't seeing themselves. And so several months ago, I was like, we need to like change the strategy. People need to see themselves. If they see us on Facebook, Instagram, on our website, they need to see themselves. So we started posting a little bit more of just like video clips that we were taking in classes of our members and, trying to allow people to say like, oh, wow, she can do it. I could do it. Oh, wow. Like, look at her. She's 6 months pregnant. She's working out. I could go work out 6 months pregnant. She's lifting weights at, 72 years old. I could do that too. So we tried to make it a little bit more kind of that like people could identify themselves with our brand.
Do you
But yeah.
get a decent amount of lead flow from your organic social stuff?
It's a good question. I think it depends on the age range. Like I think if it's someone who's like 20 to 30, they tend to go to social media to look for, information on the business. I know I do that too. But if someone's in like their 60s and 70s, they're more so going to our website. So we definitely get like, oh yeah, I saw you guys on Instagram, and we have a decent amount of follows from our reels. But I think the energy really should be put more into our website, frankly, because I think that's where we're getting more of our actual like hot leads.
Yeah, that older crowd, they call each other on the phone. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how that works, but yeah, that seems like a great referral engine to tap into that.
Hey, gym owners, are you looking for a way to generate more leads, close more sales, and increase client retention? Introducing Kilo. We are a software company that gives gym owners the tools they need to increase revenue and run a successful gym. With Kilo, you get a beautifully designed website to capture more leads, an integrated marketing automation platform to increase sales, and our gym management software so you can add new client memberships, process payments, and organize your class schedule. If you're ready to upgrade your gym management software, book a call at usekilo.com.
One of the things I know you pride yourself on, and I've certainly met people on your team before, is your staff. So tell me, how many people do you employ? And do you have any hiring retention nuggets? Because I know like a lot of people have been with you for 5+ years now, right?
Yeah, they have. Yeah. So I have 6 coaches that work for me. 2 of them are very part-time, so they only have like a couple of hours a week. One of them has been with me like literally since 2018, so since the beginning, which is a couple months after I opened. She's one of my very part-timers, but she's an excellent coach, so glad to have kept her. And then we have 4 other coaches. I have a general manager who's been with me since 2020. I have a head coach who's been with me. Well, she was with me before that as a client, so she's been working for me since about 2019, I guess. And then we have 2 other, like, I wouldn't say full-time, but they have at least, 20 hours of coaching a week. As far as retention goes though, like our team is so great. Most of them, it's not their full-time gig. Me, obviously, and my general manager were the only kind of full-timers, and everyone else has like other stuff that they do. It's like their fun job. So I think that's why they stick around. I think they have fun with it.
And so how did you get these people? Did most of them start as like interns, or did you hire them as coaches? Like how do you attract people, or did they start as members?
Yeah. So two of them started as, actually three of them started as members. They had been clients of mine for a long time. And I just kind of saw potential in them for coaching. And then so my general manager, I poached her from another gym because she came to a workshop at my place and she was working in another gym. And I was like, hey, I think that you'd be amazing in like a full-time role. Are you interested in coming to work for me? And she lives like a solid 35 minutes away from our gym. So she was like, okay, yep, I'll come down. And now she's my general manager. So she's great. But I picked her out of the crowd. And then Cheryl is our coach that I mentioned. She's 61. And she had asked to shadow. So that's those are pretty much where they came from. I don't know truly what I would do now if I needed someone else. I'm grateful that we don't need anyone else right now because I think it's tough out there to find people who are a good culture fit.
It is definitely something we hear a lot, that hiring is a challenge. What about the retention side of things? What are you doing to keep your members around longer?
So I think like just our relationships that we have with our clients is probably the number one. We know everyone personally. I think that is a big part of the buy-in is that, I mean, I've had members literally for like 9 years because I trained them even before I opened my own gym. And, they've had multiple kids under our watch. And it's like, just like it's like, that's a real actual like friendship. And I think we do try to make it as personal as possible. Like we actually care about what you're doing on your weekends. We really care about your kids sports. We really want to know who you are as a person outside of the gym. So I think that just on like an organic level has been helpful for retention, but also I think that the fact that we will cater to individual needs is also really helpful for retention. We have been working recently to like put some actual more concrete touch points in place so that we are keeping our clientele on as long as possible. Because it's like my worst nightmare if someone drops off the map. I absolutely hate that. I'm like, where is Jane? I haven't seen Jane in 3 weeks. And then Jane's like, oh, I broke my arm 3 weeks ago. I'm like, oh my God, like we need to so our head coach, Kristen, she's in charge of retention. So she does a really good job of like reaching out to members if we haven't seen them in a week and, just kind of like making sure that everyone is happy.
When I think of your niche, I feel like it would lend itself well to like some partnership type stuff, some community events, like there seems like you have a lot of opportunity to bring like non-members in with like educational stuff just based off of like who you're serving. Are you doing any of that stuff?
Yeah, we absolutely are. From like the early days, we would host like birth prep classes. We did an infant CPR class. Like we've hosted those kind of community events, but we've also partnered with a lot of with several female-owned businesses in the area too. Like we have this really cute natural beauty shop. It's like just around the corner from our gym, and we've done like shop nights with them. We did a big event 2 years ago with several different female-owned businesses. One was an integrative nurse practitioner, and she does hormone replacement therapy. And she was kind of like the keynote speaker of that night. And so we partnered with her and we hosted it at the gym. It was a huge event where there were like, I think 60 plus women there. And there was maybe only a handful that were our members. So it was great to like bring people in and just talk about the education around hormone replacement therapy. We had a couple of other businesses that spoke as well. But it's like, yeah, like all of this stuff is so, with women's health, it's so intertwined that it's impossible not to talk about that kind of stuff. So we love education-based things like that.
Do you do any like nutrition offering or any kind of life coaching type stuff, or is it just you come in, you get strong, you leave?
Yeah, so I think for a while we didn't have any sort of nutrition offering, but we have partnered actually with two businesses in our area. One is she is a health coach, a holistic health coach, and she specializes in working with women who have thyroid issues like Hashimoto's. If I usually say to people, like, if you want your hand held and like walked through nutrition, you're gonna go see Grace, because she's like so good with that, with like the emotional side of that too, and stress management, and really kind of getting to the crux of nutrition. And then on the other kind of side of the coin, we have another company that we partner with, and they have like a pretty strict 12-week program that they put people through. And what I love about it is it's all education based. So I think with women, it's a little bit of a quagmire with nutrition, because many women have experienced disordered eating, at some time in their life. And so approaching food it's kind of an art. So we have a couple gyms in the area that do macro coaching, and it's not good, because they're underfeeding people, and they're like losing weight, and then they're like disappearing, and then they go off this coaching, they go off their diet, and then they're gaining all this crazy weight back. So the approach of the company that we partner with is like way more, it's more education based, and it's not about restriction. It's just about education and understanding what you're eating and the strategy behind that. So those are the two companies that we partner with if people want to opt in for nutrition, because they don't always want to.
So it sounds like you just there's nothing in-house. You just have partners, and you'll direct to the right one based off of that person's specific needs.
Eventually I would like to have someone in-house, but as of right now, like we try to refer out to like the experts and kind of stay in our lane with the strength stuff.
So I like that, by the way. That's cool. Our audience is 87% male, but I have some lifestyle questions. You are a mother of how many children?
5.
And so how do you balance having 5 kids and a gym, which is historically not a particularly easy business to run?
Yeah, it's an adventure. It's an ongoing thing. When I first opened my gym, my third little boy, I have 5 boys. My third little boy was like 4 months old. So I was like very much in the thick of it too. Like he wasn't sleeping. He was like nursing all the time. It was just the thing. But now my youngest now is 1, and I was able to take a lot more time off with this one because I had my general manager and my staff in place. So that was a little bit more balanced. Whereas my other kids, I only took off a couple of weeks before I was back to work. But generally, like management day to day, my husband is incredibly supportive, and also my family, my parents are close by, my aunts are close by, and my brothers are close by too. So it's definitely incredibly helpful to have them to like step in for the kids as needed.
You have 5 boys is impressive. 5 in a row. That's a 3.125% chance of that happening. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not know that, but that sounds about right.
I didn't until I asked ChatGPT just now. So, but it seemed like a hard thing to do. And so you've done it all without like nannies, childcare, that whole shebang. You just leaned on family for the brunt of it.
Yeah, and we've homeschooled since 2020, so that's also involves like another facet of.
Oh, I didn't know
challenge.
that. You homeschool too?
Yeah, we homeschool. Mm-hmm.
So how much time are you in the gym?
So actually, and this was my goal when I was pregnant with my 5th, was like really to not be in the gym from like a coaching role. So I worked really hard. I mean, I was super sick when I was pregnant with my 5th, and like just exhausted. So I kind of had to hand over the reins a little bit earlier than I had anticipated. But I actually don't coach anymore unless I'm covering for one of our coaches that's off on, like vacation or whatever. But yeah, I try to be physically present in the gym at least 3 days a week. I try to get in for afternoons, evenings. Sometimes I get in for mornings. I try to get in for some Saturdays. Like we do like a coffee Saturday every 3rd week. So I try to get in for that and just be present for members.
So you're pretty hands off. It sounds like you're the face. You come and shake hands, kiss babies, that kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So you go So it sounds like 3 to 4 times a week, and you're showing up, just making sure everything's, relationship building, making sure the staff's okay, making sure everything's operating the way you want it to go.
Yep, exactly. Just a little check.
And how long did it take you to get to that point? Like, a lot of people hear that and are like, that sounds wonderful. I'm sure it wasn't always like that. At what point did you finally get there?
I was tapering down my hours when I was pregnant with my fifth. So last spring. So that was about when I was like, okay, I'm good to like take off and like not come back to these hours. I've only ever really worked like coaching 3 days a week. I've never been every day. But once I got my early mornings covered by our head coach, Kristen, she's like an angel sent from heaven. I don't know how she's such a morning person, but she is. So she's there every single morning at the crack of dawn. And so those were like the hardest hours, I think, to get covered. And once I found her and she was like good with taking over those hours, it was like smooth sailing from there because the other hours were easy to get covered.
A whole new world.
Yeah.
Are you generally like busy in the morning, like similar hours as a regular Gen Pop gym?
Yeah. So we're like, our early mornings are really busy. 5, 6 a.m. is busy. But because of our population, that like 55 plus population, our 8 and 9 a.m.s are super busy too. Like we've had to, we're likely going to have to add another session around those times. We only have like one more day we can add. So yeah. 8, 9,
And
10.
you fire up again in the evening, like you have 4, 5, 6, all that.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh,
Yep. And Saturdays,
crazy.
we're open Saturdays too.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I don't want to take too much of your time. If people are interested in this and want to follow along in your journey, where are you sending them?
So the gym Instagram is her understrength strength underscore.
You should know this. You got this.
Her strength too. I know, right? No, I actually don't really. I try not to be on that too much either. And then my coaching Instagram is Coach Nora Matthew. And yeah, so you can follow me either of those places and check out what's going on at Latham, New York.
And if you want to dominate at SEO like Nora, and if you want a beautiful looking website, you should come talk to us at Kilo. You should just go to usekilo.com. You should book a call, talk to my friend Mateo Lopez, get you all hooked up and looking beautiful on the internet, get you some marketing automation software so you can keep up with those leads. And then hopefully we can get you some gym management software too to make the back end easier so you one day can homeschool 5 children and go to your gym only to shake hands and kiss babies. That sounds good. Again, go to usekilo.com and book a call. So that, dear listeners, is the end of the road with Nora Matthew. We will link down to her stuff below. We thank you again for listening. Like, subscribe, comment, do all those things. And we will catch you next week. We love you.